Before our wedding rehearsal, she said, "Don't wait up tonight. I'm going out with my ex. It's just for closure." I didn't argue. But the next morning, when she walked down the aisle, it wasn't me waiting for her. I'm the kind of guy who believes in clear lines. You're either in or you're out. You're either with me or you're not. For 3 years, I thought Emily was with me. We built a good life. I run a small engineering firm, and the work is demanding, but it's stable. It allowed us to have a nice house and to plan the kind of wedding she said she always dreamed of. I'm a planner. I like details, I like logistics, and I like knowing where I stand. Emily was always more of a go-with-the-flow type. I thought it was a good balance. I was the anchor and she was the sail. Her ex-boyfriend, a guy named Greg, was always a footnote in our story that she refused to erase. They had dated for years before me, and according to her it ended badly, but she was totally over it. Still, his name would pop up now and then. A text on her birthday. An accidental like on an old photo. I never liked it, but I trusted her. I believed that our future was more important than her past. That trust evaporated 24 hours ago. It was Friday night, the night of our wedding rehearsal. We were standing in the church where we were supposed to get married the next day. Our families were there, the wedding party was there, and everything was going smoothly. We ran through the ceremony, we practiced the vows, and we all went to the rehearsal dinner. Everything felt normal. After the dinner, as we were saying goodbye to our parents, Emily pulled me aside. She was already dressed to go out, not to go home. "Hey," she said, her tone a little too casual. "Don't wait up for me tonight." I was confused. "What do you mean? We have to be up at the crack of dawn. The wedding is tomorrow." She wouldn't meet my eyes. She just fiddled with the strap on her purse. "I know, it's just, Greg is in town," he called. "He wants to meet up for a drink, just for closure. To officially close that chapter before I start a new one with you." I just stared at her. The night before our wedding, she wanted to go meet her ex-boyfriend for closure. The sheer, breathtaking disrespect of it was stunning. The audacity. It wasn't a question, it was a declaration. She was telling me what she was doing, not asking for my permission. My best man, my brother, was standing a few feet away and overheard. The look on his face was a mirror of the shock I felt. But I didn't explode. I didn't yell. In that moment, as she stood there waiting for me to make a scene, a strange and total calm descended over me. The emotional part of my brain just went silent, and the logistical, problem-solving part took over. This wasn't a relationship issue to be worked through. This was a catastrophic systems failure, and I was the engineer who had to deal with it. I looked at her, and I gave her a small, tight smile. "Okay," I said, my voice even. "I understand. You do what you need to do." She looked surprised, then relieved. She was expecting a fight. When she didn't get one, she thought she'd gotten away with it. "Really? Oh, thank you for being so understanding," she said, giving me a quick, dismissive kiss on the cheek. "I won't be late." She walked off, got into a rideshare, and was gone. My brother came over, his eyes wide. "Are you seriously okay with that?" "No," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm not, but I'm not going to argue about it. I'm going to fix it." He looked confused. "Fix it? The wedding is in 12 hours. "Exactly," I said, already scrolling through my contacts. "That's just enough time." She wanted closure. I was about to give it to her, the most permanent, public, and unforgettable closure she could ever imagine. Update 1. The moment Emily's car turned the corner, I went into mission mode. The next 12 hours would be a masterclass in logistical warfare. My brother, bless his heart, just stared at me, waiting for instructions like a soldier waiting for orders. "First things first," I said. "We need to know where she is, and we need to get in touch with the ex." Finding her was easy. She had the Find My Friends app active on her phone, a detail she had clearly forgotten. A few taps and I had her location, a dimly lit cocktail bar downtown called The Alibi. The irony was not lost on me. Finding Greg, the ex, was a bit trickier. I didn't have his number, but I knew his last name and where he worked. A quick search online brought up his professional profile. He was a sales guy, and his profile picture showed a man with a confident, slightly arrogant smile. The kind of guy who probably thought he was the hero of every story. This was a weakness I could exploit. I used a burner app to get a temporary phone number. I sent him a text. "Hey Greg, this is Sarah, one of Emily's bridesmaids. This is gonna sound crazy, but Em is having a full-blown meltdown. She's supposed to get married tomorrow, but she's in love with you. She's at the alibi right now, but she's too scared to tell you the truth. She's terrified of her fiancé. He's a really controlling guy. She wants you to save her, but she'll never admit it. You need to be her hero. It was a gamble, but I was betting on his ego. A man like Greg wouldn't be able to resist the chance to be the white knight, to swoop in and save the woman who got away from her boring, controlling fiancé. While I waited for his response, I assembled my own team. I called my 3 groomsmen and my father. I told them exactly what had happened and what I was about to do. There was a moment of stunned silence, followed by a chorus of unanimous, furious support. My dad, a man of few words and decisive action, just said, "Tell me what you need, son." The plan was simple in concept, but complex in execution. The wedding was not being canceled, it was being repurposed. I sent a mass text to every single guest on my side of the family. Urgent update. The wedding plans have changed. This is not a joke. The ceremony tomorrow is not for me and Emily. It is now a surprise celebration of Emily's closure. Please, trust me. Come to the church as planned. Do not, under any circumstances, contact Emily or her family. Just come, sit on the groom's side, and enjoy the show. More details to follow. Next, I dealt with the finances. I logged into my bank account and put a stop payment on every check I had written for the wedding vendors. I then called the 24-hour fraud alert line for my credit card, the one on file with the venue and the caterer. I reported the card stolen. This would ensure that any attempt to charge it the next day would be declined. The contracts were in both our names, but the payment methods were all mine. I was surgically removing myself from the financial equation. My phone buzzed. It was Greg. Who is this really? Is this a joke? Emily is right here. I texted back from my burner number. Of course she's with you. She's putting on a brave face. Ask her if she's truly happy. Ask her if she wishes things were different. She'll deny it. But look in her eyes. She's trapped. Tomorrow morning, she's supposed to be at the Grand Cathedral at 11 a.m. If you're the man she thinks you are, you'll be there too. At the altar, waiting for her. I knew Emily. After a few drinks, she would be sentimental and emotional. She would say all the things Greg wanted to hear. She would feed his ego, and he would swallow it whole. The final piece of the puzzle was my own disappearance. While my groomsmen were fielding confused calls from my relatives and reassuring them that I was okay, I was at home, packing. I threw a suitcase together with my essentials. I then went into my home office and shredded every shared document we had. I packed up my personal computers and my work files. I left one thing on the kitchen counter. It was the wedding album from my parents' wedding. I opened it to a picture of them on their wedding day, looking at each other with so much love and respect. Underneath it, I left my engagement ring. I was out of the house by 3 a.m. I drove to my brother's place, left my car in his garage, and he drove me to the airport. I had used my airline miles to book a one-way ticket to Costa Rica, the destination of our now defunct honeymoon. As I sat in the airport lounge watching the sun begin to rise, my phone buzzed one last time. It was a text from Greg. "I'm in. I'll be there." I smiled, turned my phone off, and boarded the plane. The show was about to begin, and for the first time in a long time, I was just a member of the audience. Update 2. I landed in Costa Rica to the sweet, sweet bliss of a phone that had been turned off for 8 hours. I was sitting at a beachside bar, a cold beer in my hand, when I finally turned it back on. The digital explosion was immediate and glorious. It was a tidal wave of missed calls, voicemails, and texts. My brother had been feeding me updates from the ground via a messaging app. The scene at the church, he said, was something out of a movie. Emily's guests had arrived, all dressed up and excited. My side of the church was also full, but with a very different energy. My family and friends were sitting in quiet, buzzing anticipation. They knew something was about to happen. Greg, true to his word, had shown up. He was standing at the altar, looking nervous but determined, dressed in a slightly too tight suit he had probably bought that morning. The officiant, a man who was very confused, was trying to have a whispered conversation with him. And then the music started. The doors at the back of the church opened, and there was Emily in her white dress looking radiant. She started her walk down the aisle, beaming at all of her friends and family. She was so focused on her grand entrance that she didn't look at the altar until she was about halfway down. According to my brother, the moment she saw Greg is a moment that will be studied by scientists for generations. Her face went through about 15 different emotions in 3 seconds: confusion, shock, horror, and finally, a dawning, sickening understanding. The music faltered and then stopped. A wave of whispers went through the church. Her father, standing beside her, looked from her to Greg, his face a mask of fury. Emily reportedly just stood there, frozen in the middle of the aisle. Greg, realizing that this was not the romantic rescue he had envisioned, just gave a weak, helpless shrug. And then, my father stood up. He had a microphone that my brother had arranged with the church's sound guy. His voice boomed through the silent cathedral. "Good morning, everyone," he said, his voice full of calm authority. "It seems there has been a change of plans. My son, the groom, was informed last night that his fiancée needed to get closure with her ex-boyfriend. He decided to be supportive. He understood that closure is important, so he arranged for her to have it, right here, right now. It appears this is the wedding she truly wanted. So on behalf of my son, I'd like to say congratulations to the happy couple." He sat down. The church was in chaos. Emily's family was screaming. Greg was trying to sneak out a side door. And Emily just burst into tears, right there in the middle of the aisle. The aftermath was a financial and social nightmare for her. The venue, the caterer, the florist, they all tried to charge the credit card on file, which was of course declined. The contracts, which her father had co-signed, suddenly became his problem. He was on the hook for a 6-figure wedding that had ended in a public implosion. My brother told me that Emily's father called him, screaming and threatening lawsuits. My brother just calmly replied, "Your daughter went out with her ex-boyfriend the night before her wedding. Liam didn't cancel anything. He just declined to participate. You should be thanking him. He saved your daughter from a lifetime of being married to a man she clearly doesn't respect." The story spread through our town like a virus. Emily, who had always cared so much about her image, was now the woman who was left at the altar by 2 different men on the same day. I spent the next 2 weeks in Costa Rica. I went surfing, I hiked in the rainforest, and I drank a lot of good coffee. I didn't answer a single one of the hundreds of messages from Emily or her family. My lawyer handled everything. He sent them a formal letter stating that our engagement was officially terminated due to her actions. He also sent her a bill for her half of all the shared wedding planning expenses that I had paid for out of my own pocket. When I finally came home, the dust had started to settle. My house was quiet. Her things were still there, a sad monument to a life that was now over. I hired a company to pack it all up and put it in storage. I sent her the key with no note. Final update: it's been 6 months since the wedding that wasn't. The silence in my life has been profound and wonderful. I've focused on my work, reconnected with friends, and enjoyed the simple pleasure of a drama-free existence. The legal threats from Emily's family went nowhere. My lawyer easily shut down their claims. They had no legal ground to stand on. In the end, they were forced to pay off all the wedding vendors themselves to avoid being sued. The financial hit was, I'm told, catastrophic for her father's pride and his bank account. Emily's life, from what I've heard through the grapevine, is a mess. She and Greg are not together. He was furious at being used as a pawn in her drama and wants nothing to do with her. She had to move back in with her parents, and the atmosphere in that house is reportedly Arctic. She tried to launch a smear campaign against me online, but it was quickly shouted down by my friends and family, who were all too happy to share the real story of what happened. The most telling moment came about 2 months ago. I was at a hardware store, and I ran into one of her bridesmaids, the one named Sarah, who had texted me from the burner phone. She saw me and looked like she wanted to run and hide. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice friendly. She looked up, surprised. "Oh hey," she mumbled. "Look, about what happened, I'm so sorry. We all told her it was a terrible idea to go out with him, but she wouldn't listen. She said you were so predictable that you would just get mad and then get over it." I just nodded. She was half right. I didn't get mad. "Yeah," she said with a sad little smile. "I know, she really underestimated you. And that was it, really. She thought I was predictable. She thought my love and my commitment were things she could put on a shelf, take down when she wanted, and expect them to be there. She thought my boundaries were suggestions, not rules. I didn't set out to orchestrate some grand humiliating revenge. I just made a logical decision based on the data she gave me. She showed me, with her actions, that her past was more important to her than our future. So I gave her what she wanted. I gave her a future with her past. I'm dating someone new now. It's early, but it's different. It's built on honesty and clear lines. The other day, she asked me about my last relationship. I just told her the truth. I told her I was supposed to get married, but on the day of the wedding, I decided to go on my honeymoon alone instead. She laughed and said it was the most sensible, insane thing she had ever heard. And I guess it was. Sometimes, the most logical solution is the one that looks the craziest from the outside. But from where I'm standing, it looks like the best decision I ever made. My fiancée said she felt suffocated by my love languages, especially the handwritten letters I left before work. She shared them in a group chat called Cringe Folder. Her friends mocked them. Is this the beta clown you're gonna marry? So I printed every letter and mailed them to her parents. Her dad called me crying. Now she's left 53 messages. I'm trying to find the right words to start this. Ironic, considering writing words is what got me into this mess in the first place. I'll just dive in. I, 34M, was engaged to Ava, 31F, for 14 months. We'd been together for almost 4 years total. Met at a friend's wedding. I was a groomsman. She was the bride's cousin. We clicked instantly. Same dark humor, both career-focused but wanting family eventually. Similar values, or so I thought. I'm a structural engineer. She's in pharmaceutical sales. A bit about me. My parents have been married 42 years. Growing up, I watched my dad leave little notes in my mom's lunch every day. He'd write jokes, memories, sometimes just, "I love you." Mom kept every single one in a box. When Dad had his stroke 5 years ago and couldn't speak for months, Mom would read those notes to him during recovery. The doctors said it helped. Familiar emotional connections, rebuilding neural pathways or something. Anyway, it stuck with me. I'm not naturally demonstrative with my feelings. Engineering brain, I'm logical, sometimes too blunt. But I make an effort because I've seen what thoughtful gestures mean long term. So when things got serious with Ava, I started leaving her notes. Nothing elaborate, just a few lines on her desk before I left for work. I start earlier than she does. Sometimes reflections on our relationship, inside jokes, plans for the future, occasionally a quick sketch. I'm not particularly artistic, but I try. Honestly, she seemed to love them. Would text me mid-morning saying a note made her day. She even bought a small decorative box last year, said she was saving them like my mom did. We got engaged last spring, set a date for this coming October. Then about 3 months ago, things started feeling off. Ava became distant, critical of small things. I asked several times if something was wrong, if I'd done something. She'd say everything was fine, just stressed about work. I believed her. I tried being extra supportive, took over more chores, suggested weekend getaways, kept writing my notes but made them more encouraging, less romantic, thinking maybe the pressure of wedding planning was getting to her. 2 weeks ago, I had a morning site visit across town. Realized halfway there, I'd forgotten my tablet with the structural plans. Swung back home to grab it. Ava's car was still there, which was odd. She should have left for work already. I found her in the kitchen, still in pajamas, on a video call with her 3 closest friends. Her back was to me, so she didn't notice me at first. I was about to announce myself when I heard my name. "And James left another one of his pathetic little love letters this morning," she was saying, holding up today's note. "Listen to this garbage. Counting down the days until you're my wife. You make even ordinary Tuesdays extraordinary. Who talks like this?" I'm literally suffocating from the neediness. Her friends were laughing. One said, "Oh my God, read the one from yesterday again, that was worse." Ava reached into a desk drawer, not the decorative box she'd bought, just stuffed in with office supplies, and pulled out another note. "Sometimes I watch you sleeping and think about how lucky I am to have found someone so beautiful inside and out. Seriously, who watches people sleep? It's creepy as hell." Another friend chimed in, "Is this really the beta clown you're gonna marry?" Girl, you can do better than some simp who writes you middle school love notes. I stood frozen as Ava laughed. I know, but he's stable, has a good job, and my parents love him. I just need him to stop with this emotional bullshit. I've been accidentally throwing them away or saying I'm too busy to read them, but he keeps writing them. Have you tried just telling him they're cringe? Another friend asked. Not yet. I'm working up to it. Just need to get through the wedding first, then I can start training him out of these habits, marriage changing people, and all that. One friend snorted. Well, at least add these to the cringe folder. This shit's too good. Then I saw Ava taking pictures of my notes with her phone, and I heard the notification sound of them being sent in a group chat. I must have made a noise, because Ava suddenly turned. Her face went from laughing to shock in an instant. James, what are you? I thought you had a site visit. I just stood there, tablet forgotten. The cringe folder? Her friends on the screen went quiet. One by one, they made excuses and disconnected until it was just us. Ava tried damage control immediately. It's not what it sounds like. We were just joking around. I heard everything, Ava. Training me out of these habits? Beat a clown? They're not my words. That's just how my friends talk. You were laughing. You called my notes pathetic and garbage. She switched tactics, going from defensive to annoyed. Well, they kind of are, James. It's suffocating. Every single day. Who has the energy for that level of performative affection? It's just not realistic. Performative. The word hit like a slap. 4 years and you think I'm performing. Oh, come on. Nobody's genuinely like this. You're trying too hard because of your parents or whatever. It's sweet, I guess, but it's not normal, James. I said nothing, just walked past her, went to our bedroom, and sat on the edge of the bed. She followed, now trying to minimize. Look, it's not a big deal. I still love you. I just don't need all this to prove it. Can we just move past this? I remember looking up at her and feeling nothing. No anger, no pain, just emptiness. Did you ever actually like the notes? Any of them? Or was that all lies too? She hesitated just a second too long. Of course don't. Just don't. I stood up, grabbed my tablet, and walked out. Went to my site visit, somehow functioned through the day, didn't answer her increasingly frantic texts. Checked into a hotel that night, told her I needed space to think. The next 3 days were a blur. Ava alternated between apologizing profusely and telling me I was overreacting to just a little girl talk. Her friends sent apologetic texts, obviously prompted by her. I responded to none of it. What I did do was think a lot about our whole relationship, wondering what else had been an act, about the parents she said loved me, who'd welcomed me into their family, about the decorative box she'd bought specifically for notes she actually despised. The 4th day, I took action. I went to our apartment while she was at work and packed my essential belongings. Then I spent an hour going through my sent emails, where I kept digital copies of every note I'd written her. Call it engineering brain. I don't trust paper records alone. There were 317 notes over 3 years. I printed them all. Then I wrote one new letter to her parents. I explained exactly what had happened, what Ava had said, included screenshots of the text exchanges where she wavered between apology and blame. I didn't embellish or manipulate, just presented the facts. I packaged everything up, the 317 notes, my letter, and a USB drive with a screen recording of me going through my email archives to prove I hadn't fabricated anything, and shipped it overnight to her parents' house 2 states away. Then I blocked Ava on everything. Packed the rest of my stuff from our apartment over the weekend while she was at her sister's. Her texts indicated this before I blocked her. Left my tea and ring on the counter and moved in temporarily with my buddy Mike. 3 days later, on a Tuesday night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Ava's dad, Robert. His voice was thick like he'd been crying. James, it's Robert. We got your package. Silence for a moment. I don't know what to say, son. Those letters, I read every single one of them. So did Patricia. He paused, struggling. We raised her better than this. I don't understand. I'd always liked Robert. Retired military, not overly emotional, but a fundamentally decent man. The kind who taught his daughter to change her own tires and coached her softball team. Hearing him this broken hurt worse than anything Ava had done. Neither do I, sir. Patricia hasn't stopped crying. Those letters reminded us of when we were young. I used to write notes to her too, not as well as yours, but he trailed off. We're so sorry, James. We truly thought of you as our son already. We talked for nearly an hour. He told me they'd confronted Ava, showed her what I'd sent. According to him, she'd tried the same minimizing tactics at first, then broke down when they made her read some of the notes aloud to them. Apparently, she'd called me right after, only to find herself blocked. I thanked him for calling, for being honest. Told him I'd always respect him and Patricia, but that there was no way forward with Ava. He understood. That was 2 weeks ago. I've since signed a lease on a new apartment, officially canceled my half of the wedding arrangements, and informed close friends and family that the engagement is off. I've kept the explanation simple. Fundamental incompatibility. To most people. Those closest to me know the full story. Ava found my new number somehow. 53 messages in the past week, according to my phone's block list counter. I haven't read any of them, but the previews range from desperate apologies to accusations that I've destroyed her relationship with her parents. Apparently, Robert and Patricia are still deeply upset with her, have canceled their contribution to the wedding, and are insisting she get therapy to figure out why she'd treat someone this way. Through mutual friends, I've heard various things. That Ava's friends have distanced themselves, embarrassed to be associated with the cringe folder, now that it's known. That she's claiming I doctored evidence to turn her parents against her. That she's telling some people I was controlling and others that I was emotionally absent, depending on which narrative gets her more sympathy. I haven't responded to any of it. There's no satisfaction in her suffering, honestly. Just sadness for what I thought we had, and relief that I discovered the truth before we married. My mom asked if I regret writing all those notes. I don't. They were genuine, even if the recipient wasn't. Dad suggested I start journaling instead. Same outlet, no risk of mockery. Maybe someday. For now, I'm focusing on my work, spending time with friends who've been unbelievably supportive, and reminding myself that authenticity isn't something to be ashamed of, even if it made me a beta clown to someone who never deserved those words in the first place. The decorative box she bought for the notes? It was on the counter when I moved my things out. Empty. I don't know if she threw the physical notes away or never kept them to begin with. Either way, I left it there. Some containers aren't worth filling. Update, 1 week later. Lot of comments asking for an update, so here's where things stand. I've settled into my new apartment. It's smaller but closer to my office, and the fresh start feels right. I splurged on new furniture instead of taking anything from the place I shared with Ava. Something about starting clean. The messages from Ava finally stopped 3 days ago. The last one, which I saw in preview before deleting, said simply, "I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know I'm getting help. I'll always regret what I lost." Robert called again yesterday. We talked for about 20 minutes, mostly about neutral topics like the playoff games and a bridge project I'm working on. Before hanging up, he said something that stuck with me. A man's character is measured by how he acts when he thinks no one is looking. Your notes, you thought I'd never see them, but they showed me exactly who you are. Remember that. Several people have asked if I've put myself out there again. The answer is no, not yet. But last weekend I did something I haven't done in years. Went to a poetry reading with my colleague Elise. Not a date, just 2 friends appreciating words. It felt good to reclaim that part of myself. The most unexpected outcome of all this has been reconnecting with my creative side. After the poetry reading, I started writing again. Not notes to anyone, just observations, reflections. My therapist calls it reclaiming my voice. It helps. As for the wedding vendors, most were understanding. Lost some deposits, but one caterer was so moved by the situation, apparently his ex-wife had done something similar, that he refunded everything and sent a bottle of whiskey with a note saying simply, "Her loss." Healing isn't linear. Some days I'm angry, some days just sad. Mostly though, I'm grateful for the bullet dodged, for friends who've rallied around me, and strangely for those 317 letters. They weren't wasted after all. They showed Ava's parents who their daughter really is, and they reminded me who I really am. And that's worth more than I can say. My fiancé insisted, "I lost the ring at the gym, please forgive me." I responded calmly, Don't worry about it. Then posted a reward for its return on social media. Wait until she finds out who showed up to claim it. I'm 33 and dealing with what my fiancé calls a missing engagement ring. Except the ring isn't missing at all. Been with Melissa for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. The engagement ring cost me $8,000, which was a stretch on my electrician salary, but she'd been hinting about it for months. Classic round diamond, white gold band, exactly what she said she wanted. Everything seemed normal until last Tuesday. Melissa came home from the gym looking upset, said she had something terrible to tell me. Babe, I'm so sorry. I lost my engagement ring at the gym. I took it off during my workout and forgot to put it back on. When I remembered and went back to look, it was gone. She was crying, apologizing repeatedly, saying she felt horrible and knew how much money I'd spent on it. Seemed genuinely devastated. My first reaction was disappointment. $8,000 down the drain. But accidents happen, and I didn't want to make her feel worse than she already did. Don't worry about it, I told her. It's just a ring. We'll figure something out. She hugged me tight, said I was the most understanding fiancé in the world, promised she'd be more careful with the replacement. Except something felt off about the whole story. Melissa had been weird about the ring lately. A couple weeks ago, I noticed she wasn't wearing it when she came home from work. When I asked about it, she said she'd started taking it off during the day because her hands were swelling. Then last weekend at her sister's birthday party, 3 different people asked her about wedding planning. Each time she deflected the conversation or changed the subject. I thought maybe she was just feeling overwhelmed with planning. But the gym story bothered me. Melissa is incredibly careful with her belongings. She's the type of person who counts her change twice and never loses anything. The idea that she'd forget a diamond ring at the gym seemed out of character. Plus, there was the timing. We just had a conversation the previous weekend about setting a wedding date. Melissa had been hesitant, saying she wanted to wait until after her promotion at work came through. Said she was feeling stressed about making big decisions. Tuesday night, I couldn't sleep. Something about her story wasn't adding up. So Wednesday morning, after Melissa left for work, I decided to investigate. First stop was the gym. It's a small local place where everyone knows everyone. I talked to the manager, a woman named Carol, who's worked there for years. Hey Carol, my fiancée Melissa thinks she lost her engagement ring here yesterday. Any chance someone turned it in? Carol checked their lost and found box. No ring. But then she said something interesting. Melissa's been acting different lately. Usually she's chatty and friendly, but the last few weeks she's been keeping to herself. And yesterday she left in a hurry with that guy Ryan, who started coming here a couple months ago. Ryan. A name I'd never heard before. What does this Ryan guy look like? Tall, dark hair, maybe late 20s. They've been talking a lot during workouts lately. Seemed pretty friendly. My stomach dropped. Melissa had never mentioned meeting anyone new at the gym, let alone becoming friends with someone. I thanked Carol and drove home with my mind racing. When Melissa got home that evening, I decided to test her story. I went by the gym today to check their lost and found. No luck with the ring, but Carol mentioned you left with some guy named Ryan yesterday. Who's that? Her face went white for just a second before she recovered. Oh, that's just Ryan. He's fairly new to the gym. He offered to help me look around the parking lot for the ring. Sweet of him to offer. She had an answer ready, which somehow made it more suspicious. That was nice of him. How well do you know Ryan? Not really well. We just started talking because we use some of the same equipment. Thursday I made a decision. I was going to post a reward notice on social media and see what happened. I put up posts on Facebook, Instagram, and our local community group. The message was simple. Lost, diamond engagement ring at Fitness First Gym on Tuesday afternoon. Sentimental value beyond the monetary worth. Offering $500 reward for its return. No questions asked. Please contact me if you have any information. I included a photo of the ring I'd taken right after I proposed, and my phone number. Melissa saw the posts that evening when she was scrolling through Facebook. Babe, what are you doing? I told you I lost it at the gym. Posting on social media is just going to get your hopes up. Can't hurt to try. Maybe someone found it and doesn't know how to return it. She seemed uncomfortable with the attention the posts were getting. A few friends commented, offering sympathy and promising to share the posts. Friday afternoon, I got my first real response. A text from an unknown number. I saw your post about the ring. I think I know what happened to it. Can we meet somewhere to talk? I arranged to meet the person at a coffee shop near my work. Told Melissa I was meeting a potential lead about the ring. The person who showed up was a middle-aged man named Frank. He seemed hesitant, but determined to tell me something. I don't like getting involved in other people's business, but I think you deserve to know the truth. My heart started racing. What do you mean? My wife works at Premier Pawn on 5th Street. Tuesday evening she came home talking about a young woman who'd pawned a beautiful diamond ring. The description matches your post exactly. Frank pulled out his phone and showed me a photo his wife had taken of the ring in their display case. It was definitely Melissa's ring. My wife felt bad for whoever lost such an expensive ring. When she saw your post, she asked me to reach out. The woman who pawned it said it was her grandmother's ring, and she needed money for car repairs. I sat there staring at the photo of my engagement ring in a pawnshop case. Is it still there? As of yesterday, yes, but they're asking $7,500 for it. These places mark things up pretty high. Frank gave me the pawnshop details and left. I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, trying to process what I'd learned. Melissa hadn't lost the ring at the gym. She'd pawned it for cash and made up the entire story about losing it during her workout. But why? We had decent savings and no major financial problems. What did she need money for that she couldn't tell me about? That evening, I didn't mention the pawnshop to Melissa. Instead, I started paying closer attention to her behavior and looking for other signs of deception. Friday night, she got several text messages that made her smile in ways I hadn't seen in months. Always kept her phone face down and would quickly check messages without letting me see the screen. Saturday morning, while Melissa was getting ready, her phone buzzed with a text. I was close enough to see the preview on the lock screen. Thanks for yesterday. Can't wait for our weekend trip. From Ryan. Weekend trip. Melissa had told me she was visiting her sister this weekend and I should enjoy having the house to myself. Everything clicked into place. The weird behavior about the ring, the hesitation about wedding planning, the guy from the gym, pawning the ring for cash. Melissa was having an affair with Ryan and had pawned my engagement ring to fund whatever they were doing together. Update 1. 5 days later. 5 days since I discovered the ring was pawned, and this situation has escalated exactly as I suspected it would. Saturday, I drove to Premier Pawn to confirm what Frank had told me. The ring was there in their jewelry case, priced at $7,500. The manager confirmed someone matching Melissa's description had pawned it Tuesday for $2,800 cash. I didn't buy it back immediately. Had other priorities first. Saturday afternoon, Melissa left for her supposed sister visit. I waited an hour, then drove by her sister's house. Melissa's car wasn't there. I called her sister directly. Hey Jenny, is Melissa coming over today? Melissa? No, I haven't heard from her this week. Why? She said she was visiting you this weekend. Must have gotten my wires crossed. So Melissa was definitely lying about where she was going. Sunday, I updated my social media post with new information. Update. Thank you to everyone who shared my post about the lost engagement ring. I've learned the ring was actually pawned at Premier Pawn on 5th Street Tuesday evening. If anyone has information about why my fiancée would pawn her engagement ring for cash, please contact me privately. This update got more attention than the original post. Several friends commented asking what was going on. A couple people shared it with concerned reactions. Monday evening, Melissa came home from her sister visit, looking relaxed and happy. How was your weekend with Jenny? Great. We had a good time catching up. That's nice. I called her Saturday looking for you, but she said she hadn't heard from you this week. Melissa's face went through several expressions before settling on panic. I meant to call her, but we ended up just texting. She probably forgot. She seemed pretty clear that you weren't coming over. There must have been some miscommunication. Monday night, I confronted her about the pawn shop. Someone contacted me about my reward post. Says you pawned the ring at Premier Pawn Tuesday night. She immediately got defensive. That's ridiculous. Someone's obviously lying to get the reward money. The pawn shop has security footage and paperwork. Want to explain why you pawned your engagement ring? Her denials crumbled pretty quickly when faced with concrete evidence. She admitted to pawning the ring but claimed it was for emergency car repairs she was embarrassed to ask me about. Why didn't you just tell me you needed help with car repairs? Because you've been stressed about money and I didn't want to add more pressure. What about Ryan? What about him? The guy you're having an affair with, the one you went away with this weekend. She tried to deny it, but I'd seen too much evidence. Eventually, she admitted to the affair, but claimed it had only been going on for a few weeks and didn't mean anything. It's just a physical thing. I love you. Ryan doesn't mean anything to me. You pawned my engagement ring to fund your affair. That's not why I pawned it. Then why did you need $2,800 in cash? Long pause. Ryan's been having some financial problems. I was helping him out. So she'd pawned my $8,000 engagement ring to give money to her affair partner. Tuesday morning, I posted a final update to my social media. Final update. The mystery has been solved. My fiancée pawned the engagement ring to give money to her affair partner. The engagement is off. Thank you to everyone who helped uncover the truth. That post got shared more widely than the previous ones. Within the day, it had multiple comments and shares from friends and family. Melissa's sister, her coworkers, even some of her family members had seen it. Melissa's phone started ringing constantly. Her mother called, her sister called, her best friend called. Everyone wanted to know if the post was true. Tuesday evening, Melissa packed a bag and left. Said she was staying with a friend until things calmed down. You've embarrassed me in front of everyone we know. I've told the truth about what you did. That's not embarrassment, that's accountability. We can work through this. People have affairs and get past them. People don't usually pawn their engagement rings to fund their affairs, Melissa. That's not a relationship problem. That's a character problem. She left that night. Haven't heard from her since. Update 2, 4 weeks later. 4 weeks since my final social media post, and the consequences continue playing out. Melissa's affair and the ring situation has affected more than just our relationship. The social media posts reached our entire social circle over time. Friends shared it, family members commented, even people from work saw it eventually. Not viral in the internet sense, but definitely spread throughout our community. Melissa tried damage control by telling people I was exaggerating the situation and that pawning the ring wasn't related to the affair. But too many people had seen the timeline, and her explanations weren't convincing. Her family was particularly upset. Melissa's mother called me to apologize and ask if there was any way to work things out. I explained that pawning engagement rings to fund affairs was a deal-breaker for me. Her sister Jenny was angry with Melissa for using her as a cover story. Created awkward situations where Jenny had to explain that Melissa hadn't actually been visiting her. Ryan's situation got complicated when his roommate figured out what was happening. The roommate knew about my social media posts and put 2 and 2 together about Ryan's sudden influx of cash and new relationship. The roommate wasn't happy about Ryan bringing affair drama into their living situation and asked him to move out. Ryan had to find new housing while dealing with the social consequences of his role in breaking up an engagement. Melissa's work environment became awkward when colleagues saw the social media posts. While her personal life didn't directly affect her job, the ongoing drama created an uncomfortable atmosphere. 3 weeks ago, I went back to Premier Pawn and bought my ring back. Cost me $7,500 to repurchase my own $8,000 ring, but I wanted it back on principle. I posted a photo of the ring with a simple caption, "Ring recovered. Looking for someone who won't pawn it for affair money." That post got supportive comments from friends, but mostly I was just glad to have closure on that chapter. 2 weeks ago, Melissa tried to contact me through Jenny. Wanted to meet and discuss getting back together. Jenny said Melissa realized she'd made a huge mistake and wanted to make things right. I declined the meeting. Told Jenny that Melissa had shown me exactly who she was when she thought I wouldn't find out. Trusting her again would just be setting myself up for more sophisticated deception. Last week, I heard through mutual friends that Melissa and Ryan's relationship fell apart. Without the excitement of secrecy and forbidden romance, they discovered they didn't have much in common besides physical attraction. Ryan also couldn't continue providing financial support without income from his old living situation. The relationship ended when the practical realities set in. Melissa moved back in with her parents temporarily. Her social circle was reduced after friends took sides or just avoided the drama entirely. This weekend, I heard Melissa's been telling people she's the victim in this situation. Claims I violated her privacy and humiliated her unnecessarily on social media. She's apparently arguing that the affair was a temporary mistake that didn't justify destroying her reputation publicly. The response from mutual friends has been mixed, but mostly unsympathetic. Most people think pawning someone's engagement ring to fund an affair crosses lines that can't be uncrossed. Yesterday, Jenny called me asking if I'd consider meeting with Melissa one final time. Said Melissa was genuinely sorry and had learned from her mistakes. I explained that the issue wasn't whether Melissa would make the same mistakes again. The issue was that she'd shown herself capable of elaborate deception and theft when it served her purposes. I need to be with someone I can trust completely. Melissa proved I can't trust her when she thinks I won't find out the truth. Jenny tried arguing that people change and deserve second chances. I agreed that people deserve second chances, just not necessarily with the same person they betrayed. Melissa can find her second chance with someone who doesn't know what she's capable of when she thinks she won't get caught. Final update, 3 months later. 3 months since I posted that reward notice, and everything has settled into new patterns. Time for the final update because everyone's found their new normal. Melissa's situation stabilized at a lower level than before. She found a small apartment and returned to her regular routine, but her social circle remained limited, and her dating prospects were complicated by the story that had spread through our community. She never fully recovered her previous social standing. While some friends forgave her, others maintained distance, and new people she met often heard the story eventually. Her relationship with her family improved somewhat, but remained strained. They provided basic support, but clearly disapproved of the choices that had created the whole situation. Ryan moved to a different part of town and largely disappeared from our mutual social circles. The affair had cost him his living situation and most of his local friendships. 6 weeks ago, Melissa made one final attempt to reconcile. She wrote a long letter, apologizing for everything and asking if there was any possibility of getting back together. The letter acknowledged that she'd made terrible decisions and said she understood why I couldn't trust her. She claimed to have learned from the experience and wanted a chance to prove she'd changed. My response was brief. I appreciate the apology, but I'm not interested in reconciliation. You showed me who you really are when you thought I wouldn't find out. I believe that version of you. She replied, asking if I'd ever be able to forgive her. I explained that I'd already forgiven her for my own peace of mind, but forgiveness doesn't require me to give her another opportunity to deceive me. You're capable of elaborate lies and theft when it serves your purposes. That's not something that changes with apologies. Last month, I started dating someone new. She's heard the whole story about Melissa and the ring situation. Her response was that anyone who would pawn their engagement ring to fund an affair clearly didn't value the relationship or the commitment it represented. The difference is striking. This new relationship is built on complete honesty. No secret phone calls, no mysterious weekend trips, no wondering if I'm being told the truth about basic facts. I still have the engagement ring. Not sure what I'll do with it long term, but for now, it serves as a reminder to trust my instincts when something doesn't add up. The social media posts created a record of what happened that people in our community still remember. Melissa will probably always be known as the woman who pawned her engagement ring to fund her affair. Some people might think that's harsh, but I think it's just accurate. Future romantic partners deserve to know what she's capable of when she thinks she won't get caught. Melissa learned that affairs have consequences beyond just the romantic relationship. That deception and financial betrayal create reputations that are hard to escape. Ryan learned that helping someone betray their partner comes with social costs. That excitement-based relationships built on deception rarely survive exposure to reality. I learned to trust my instincts and investigate when things don't make sense. I also learned that some betrayals reveal character flaws too fundamental to overlook. The reward post wasn't really about finding the ring, it was about finding the truth. The post led me to Frank, who led me to the pawn shop, which led me to the real story about what Melissa was doing. If I'd accepted her gym story, I'd have eventually married someone who was capable of stealing from me to fund her affair. The reward post saved me from that future. Melissa wanted to have her affair excitement while keeping her relationship security. She wanted to take my money to fund her betrayal while planning our wedding. She discovered that choices have consequences and deception eventually surfaces. The social media posts weren't revenge. They were just information sharing. People deserved to know what had really happened rather than accepting Melissa's cover stories. Everyone got exactly what their choices earned them. Melissa chose deception and theft to fund an affair. She got social consequences and a damaged reputation. Ryan chose to help destroy my relationship. He got his own social situation destroyed. I chose investigation and truth over comfortable lies. I got clarity about who I was really engaged to and escaped before making a bigger mistake. The ring was just jewelry, but discovering Melissa's true character was valuable information that prevented me from marrying someone who would steal from me when it suited her purposes. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can discover is what someone will do when they think you'll never find out. My fiancé texted the night before, "The wedding is off. I need to spend the weekend with my ex for closure before I commit." I replied, "Take a lifetime." Then I canceled the venue, took the honeymoon flight solo, and blocked her. Her panic when she discovered her ex had already moved on. The rehearsal dinner went fine. Better than fine, actually. Everyone was laughing, drinks were flowing, my groomsmen gave embarrassing speeches about me, her bridesmaids did the same about her. Normal pre-wedding stuff. We left around 10 p.m. Separate cars, because tradition or superstition or whatever. She went back to her parents' place where she was staying the night. I went back to our apartment. Our apartment. Well, my apartment technically. Her name wasn't on the lease. She'd kept her own place across town but stayed at mine most nights. Had a drawer of clothes, her toothbrush, some decorative pillows she insisted made the place homier. But mail still went to her apartment. Her lease was still active. She was basically living with me without officially moving in. That detail matters later. Got home around 10:45 p.m. Poured myself a whiskey. Sat on the couch. Tomorrow I'd be getting married. Should have been nervous. Should have been excited. Mostly I was tired. Wedding planning takes it out of you. Especially when you're paying for half of a $53,000 event, and your fiancé keeps adding things to the budget. Yeah, we split it. She wanted a bigger wedding than I did. We compromised. She got the venue she wanted. I got to not go bankrupt. Split everything 50-50. Her parents contributed $10,000. Mine contributed $8,000. We covered the rest ourselves. The remaining $35,000 split evenly meant $17,500 each. That's important context for what comes next. My phone buzzed at 11:43 p.m. Text from Natalie, my fiancée, soon-to-be wife in about 14 hours. "Can we talk?" Called her immediately. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just, can you come over? To your parents' house? It's almost midnight." "I know, but I need to talk to you about something. Can it wait until tomorrow, or after tomorrow when we have the rest of our lives?" "It can't wait." Something in her voice, not quite panic, not quite sadness, something else. "What's wrong? Just come over, please." I threw on jeans and a hoodie, drove to her parents' place. 20-minute drive, pulled up at 12:15 a.m. She was sitting on the front porch, still in her dress from the rehearsal dinner. No shoes, just sitting there. I sat down next to her. "What's going on?" She didn't look at me, stared straight ahead at the street. "I saw Ryan today." Ryan, her ex-boyfriend. Dated him for 3 years in college, broke up 8 years ago. She'd mentioned him maybe 5 times in our 4 years together. Always said it ended mutually. They wanted different things. Standard breakup story. Okay, I said. Where'd you see him? He came to the salon. I was getting my nails done. He was there picking up his sister. Small world. We talked. About what? Everything. Life. What we've been doing. He asked if I was happy. I didn't like where this was going. And you said? I said I'm getting married tomorrow. Good answer. He said congratulations. Then he mentioned his family has a lake house. Said he was going up there this weekend with some people. Said I should come by if I wanted. Catch up properly. Gave me his number. And you took it? I took it. But I wasn't going to use it. Not until... Until what? Until he texted me an hour ago. Said it would be good to talk, to get closure before I start this new chapter. I said I'm getting married tomorrow. Good answer. He asked if I was sure. My stomach tightened. What'd you say to that? I said of course I'm sure. But what? She finally looked at me. He said we never got closure. That we ended things too fast. That he's always wondered what would have happened if we'd tried harder. Natalie, you broke up 8 years ago. I know. You're getting married tomorrow. I know. So what's the problem? She took a breath. I think I need to see him before the wedding to get closure. I stood up. You're joking. I'm not. You want to see your ex-boyfriend the night before our wedding for closure? Not just see him. He invited me to his family's lake house this weekend. He said we could talk things through, figure out what we never resolved. I stared at her. This weekend, as in, the weekend when we're supposed to get married. He didn't know that when he invited me. But you told him, and you're still considering it. I need to know. I need to know if what we had was real or if I've been idealizing it all these years. Natalie, we're getting married in 14 hours. I know, but I can't marry you if I'm not sure. Not sure about me or not sure about him? She didn't answer, just sat there, staring at nothing. I need to think, she finally said. Think? You need to think about whether you want to marry me or run off with your ex the night before our wedding? I just need some time to clear my head. You've had 4 years to clear your head. Please don't make this harder. I stood up. I'm not making anything hard. You are. I'm going home. When you figure out what you want, let me know. I walked to my car. She didn't follow, didn't say anything, just sat there on the porch. Drove home. Got there at 1 a.m. Sat on the couch, stared at my phone, waited. The text came at 1:47 a.m. The wedding is off. I need to spend the weekend with my ex for closure before I commit. I'm sorry. I read it 3 times, made sure I understood correctly. Yep, she was calling off our wedding so she could spend the weekend with her ex-boyfriend. I typed back, take a lifetime. Hit send, blocked her number, blocked her on every social media platform, blocked her email. Then I got to work. First call. Venue. Got their emergency line. Explained the situation. Wedding's off, need to cancel. They said they'd been holding the date. Non-refundable deposit, but they wouldn't charge the remaining balance. We'd already paid $12,000 of the $18,000 total. Lost money, but not as much as we could have. Second call. Caterer. Voicemail. Left a message. Wedding's canceled. Please don't deliver food. Third call. Photographer. Voicemail. Same message. Fourth call. DJ. Answered somehow. Groggy voice, I explained. He said he'd already been paid in full, so no refunds, but he appreciated the heads up. Fifth call. Florist. Voicemail. Kept calling. Cake. Officiant. Transportation. Everything I could think of. Left messages. Sent emails. Made it clear. No wedding happening. Then I called the airline. We had flights to Maui booked. 2 tickets. Leaving Monday morning. Non-refundable but changeable for a fee. Called their 24-hour customer service line. Got someone on the phone within 5 minutes, despite it being 3 a.m. I need to change the second ticket to a different flight, I told the agent. Where would you like to reroute it? Nowhere. Just cancel it. There's a cancellation fee of $200. That's fine. Changed Natalie's ticket to nothing. My ticket stayed the same. I'd be going to Maui. Alone. It was 4 a.m. by the time I finished. Hadn't slept. Didn't care. Had one more thing to do. I packed Natalie's stuff, everything she kept at my apartment. Clothes, makeup, that lamp she insisted we needed, her stupid decorative pillows, all of it. Packed it in boxes, stacked them by the door. Texted her mom, wedding's off. Natalie's things are at the apartment. Please pick them up. Her mom tried calling. I didn't answer. She texted back, what happened? Ask your daughter. Sat on the couch. Drank another whiskey. Waited for sunrise. My phone started exploding around 7 a.m. Calls from my parents, my groomsmen, her bridesmaids, everyone who didn't know yet. I answered my parents' call. "What the hell is going on?" my dad asked. "Wedding's off. Natalie decided she needs to spend the weekend with her ex-boyfriend for closure." I said, "No thanks, you're kidding. Wish I was." "Where is she now?" "Probably at a lake house with Ryan. Don't know. Don't care." "Son, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Better now than after the wedding." "What can we do?" "Nothing. Just spread the word. No wedding today. Tell anyone who asks." Spent the day in the apartment. People kept trying to contact me. I answered the important ones, ignored the rest. Natalie's mom came by around noon to pick up the boxes. She looked devastated. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I don't know what she was thinking." "Neither do I. She'll regret this. Probably. Not my problem anymore." She took the boxes. Left crying. Around 2 p.m. would have been ceremony time. I got a call from an unknown number. Let it go to voicemail. Listen to it later. Natalie, crying. "Please pick up. I made a mistake. Ryan's not who I thought he was. I want to come home. Call me back." Deleted it. Didn't call back. Another voicemail an hour later. "Please, I'm sorry. I was confused. I love you. We can still fix this." Deleted it. Another one at 5 p.m. "I'm at your apartment. You changed the locks? Why would you change the locks? Let me in, please. We need to talk." I had indeed changed the locks. Called a 24-hour locksmith that morning around 9 a.m., right after her mom picked up the boxes. Guy came by 11 a.m., changed every lock, front door, back door, gave me new keys. $300 but worth every penny. Natalie's keys didn't work anymore. Our apartment became my apartment legally and literally. I didn't respond to any of her calls or messages. What was there to say? She'd made her choice. Now she had to live with it. Sunday morning I packed for Maui. 1 suitcase, casual clothes, sunscreen, book to read, headphones, everything I needed for a week of solo vacation. Monday morning, went to the airport, checked in, got through security, sat at the gate, boarded, found my seat. Window seat, empty seat next to me where Natalie would have been. Perfect. Landed in Maui 7 hours later, checked into the resort, the honeymoon suite we'd booked. King bed, ocean view, balcony, jacuzzi tub, all for me. First thing I did was change into swim trunks and go to the beach. Sat in the water, watched the sunset. Didn't think about Natalie, didn't think about the canceled wedding. Just existed. Spent the week doing whatever I wanted. Woke up late, had breakfast on the balcony, watched the waves, went to the beach, read my book, some thriller I'd been meaning to get to for months, swam, snorkeled one day and saw sea turtles. Took a helicopter tour of the island on Wednesday. Drove the road to Hana on Thursday, stopped at every waterfall, ate fresh pineapple from a roadside stand. Ate dinner at different restaurants every night. Tried poke for the first time. Had fresh fish. Drank Mai Tais and watched sunsets. Talked to exactly 0 people unless absolutely necessary. The bartender asked if I was alone. I said yes. He asked if I was okay. I said I was great. He nodded and poured me another drink. It was perfect. Peaceful. Exactly what I needed. Better than a wedding. Better than a marriage to someone who wasn't sure about me. Best week of my life. No exaggeration. Didn't check social media. Didn't check email. Just existed in peace. Flew back Saturday. Landed around 6 p.m. Turned my phone off airplane mode. 163 text messages. 47 missed calls. 89 emails. Scrolled through enough to get the story. Pieced it together from multiple sources. Her friends. My friends. People who'd talked to her. Natalie had driven to the lake house Friday night. Got there around midnight based on what I heard. Ryan was there with his fiancée Ashley, his sister Emma, and Emma's husband. Full house. Family weekend. When Natalie walked in and saw Ashley, she froze. Asked Ryan if she could talk to him privately. They went outside. She asked him why he'd invited her to a couple's weekend when she'd told him she was getting married. Ryan was confused. Said he'd invited her to a casual hangout. His exact words based on what got back to me, "I thought it would be nice for Ashley to meet people from my past. You and I were good friends. I figured you'd want to meet her before your wedding." Natalie apparently lost it. Said she'd called off her wedding to be there. Ryan's response, "Why would you do that? I'm engaged. I thought you knew that." She hadn't known. He'd mentioned Ashley at the salon, but Natalie hadn't registered that they were engaged. Or she'd heard it and ignored it because she wanted to believe something else. Emma, Ryan's sister, later told someone who told someone who told me. Natalie had a full breakdown, crying, saying she'd ruined everything, that she'd thrown away her relationship for nothing. Ryan and Ashley tried to calm her down, but she just grabbed her bag and left. Drove back that same night. That's when the calls started. The voicemails, the texts, all of it hitting my phone while I was canceling vendors and packing her stuff. By Saturday afternoon, she'd apparently driven to my apartment building and waited outside for hours. Tried her tea. Didn't work. Sat in her car crying. Eventually left. Her friends started reaching out to my friends, trying to explain, trying to get them to convince me to talk to her. My friends told them the same thing I would have. Not interested. She'd been trying to contact me for a week, trying to apologize, trying to explain, trying to fix things. Too late. I read through some of the messages. Her friends trying to defend her. She made a mistake. People get cold feet. You're being cruel by ignoring her. My friends supporting me. Dodged a bullet. She showed you who she is. Enjoy Maui. My parents checking in. Hope you're okay. Call when you can. I called my parents. Let them know I was back. Told them I was fine. Didn't want to talk about Natalie. They understood. Sunday morning my doorbell rang. Natalie. She'd been waiting outside my building, caught me coming back from getting coffee. We need to talk. No, we don't. Please, 5 minutes. Natalie, go home. This is my home. Not anymore. Your name's not on the lease. You moved out when you decided to cancel our wedding for your ex. I made a mistake. Yes, you did. It wasn't what I thought. Ryan was just being friendly. I misunderstood. That's your problem, not mine. Can we please talk about this? There's nothing to talk about. You called off our wedding the night before. You're done. We're done. Move on. I love you. You love the idea of me as a backup plan. That's different. That's not fair. What's not fair is me spending $17,500 on a wedding you canceled via text message at 2 a.m. so you could chase your ex-boyfriend. I'll pay you back. I don't want your money. I want you to leave. She stood there crying. I walked past her, into my building, up to my apartment, locked the door. Update. 2 weeks later. Natalie kept trying. Different numbers, social media accounts I hadn't blocked, messages through mutual friends, all the same. I'm sorry, I made a mistake, give me another chance. I didn't respond to any of it. Got the final bills from the wedding. The venue kept our $12,000 deposit, but didn't charge the remaining $6,000. Caterer charged us half of what we owed, $1,000 of my $2,000 share. Photographer was cool about it, only charged the $500 deposit. DJ kept his full $1,200 payment since we'd already paid him. Florist kept her $300 deposit. Did the math, lost $12,000 venue, plus $1,200 DJ, plus $1,000 caterer, plus $500 photographer, plus $300 florist equals $15,000 of my $17,500. Could have been worse. Natalie's mom called. I know you're angry, but she really does love you. She just got confused. She got confused about whether she wanted to marry me or run off with her ex. That's not confusion. That's knowing exactly what you want and choosing wrong. She's devastated. She'll recover. Will you? I'm already recovered. I spent a week in Maui. It was great. You went on the honeymoon alone? Best vacation I ever had. That's cold. That's practical. Trip was paid for. Why waste it? She stopped calling after that. My friends convinced me to get back out there. Downloaded some dating apps, went on a few dates, nothing serious. Just seeing what was out there. Met some nice women, some not so nice. One asked if I'd help her move on the second date. Hard pass. Another spent the entire dinner talking about her ex. Also hard pass. Then I met Kara. Lawyer, corporate law. Smart as hell, funny, sarcastic, had her life together. We matched on the app. Her first message, so what's your deal? Serial killer or just regular amount of baggage? I laughed. Replied, regular amount. You? Same. Want to get coffee and compare notes? We met at a cafe downtown. She showed up on time, dressed professionally but casual. Ordered her own coffee. Paid for it before I could offer. Good start. We talked for 2 hours, about work, about life, about hobbies. She liked hiking, I liked running. She read mystery novels, I read thrillers. She had a dog named Rufus. I wanted a dog but hadn't pulled the trigger yet. Why haven't you gotten one? She asked. Was going to, but then wedding planning took over. Then the wedding got canceled. Then I've just been figuring things out. The wedding got canceled recently, couple months ago. Mind if I ask what happened? She called it off the night before, wanted to spend the weekend with her ex for closure. Kara's eyes went wide. The night before? Yep, via text. That's insane. That's what I thought. What'd you do? Canceled everything I could, went to Maui alone, blocked her, moved on. You went on your honeymoon alone? Best vacation I ever had. She smiled. Genuine smile. That's kinda badass. Thanks. We went out again and again. By the third date, I knew this was different. She was different. Normal. No games. No ex-boyfriend drama. Just a functional adult who paid her own bills and had her shit together. Revolutionary concept after Natalie. Update. 1 month later, Natalie's friends started a campaign. Group message. You need to forgive her. She's not doing well. She made one mistake. I responded once. She didn't make one mistake. She made a series of decisions that led to calling off our wedding for another man. Those weren't mistakes. Those were choices. I'm not interested in reconciliation. Left the group chat. Someone told me Natalie had reached out to Ryan again, asked him why he'd invited her that weekend. He apparently told her he'd been trying to be nice, introduce his fiancée to people from his past. Natalie took it the wrong way. She'd wanted it to be romantic. It wasn't, never was. Her friends blamed me for not fighting for her. You just gave up. No, I just refused to fight for someone who'd already shown me I wasn't her first choice. Update. 3 months later, Kara and I made it official. She met my parents. They loved her. She paid for dinner when we went out with them, insisted on it, said it was only fair since they'd paid for drinks last time. My mom pulled me aside. She's nothing like Natalie. I know. That's good. I know. Kara knew the whole story. The canceled wedding, the texts, the Maui trip, all of it. She thought it was hilarious. You really just blocked her and left the country? Yep, that's my favorite part. Mine too. Life moved on, got a promotion at work, more money, better hours, started going to the gym regularly, lost the weight I'd gained during wedding planning, felt better than I had in months. Ran into Natalie at a coffee shop 4 months after the canceled wedding. She was with her mom, saw me, froze, her face went pale. Her mom looked uncomfortable, like she'd been dreading this moment. I ordered my coffee, black, large, acted like I didn't see her. She approached anyway. Her mom stayed back, smart woman. Hi, how are you? Good? You? I'm managing. Can we talk? I don't think so. Please, just 5 minutes. I've been trying to reach you for months. I know. You know? I blocked you. Not the same as not seeing the attempts. Why won't you talk to me? Because we have nothing to talk about. I want to apologize, properly, not over text or through other people, face to face. Okay, apologize. She took a breath, seemed to steady herself. I'm sorry, I made a terrible decision. I let fear and confusion cloud my judgment. I should have never called off the wedding. I should have never gone to that lake house. I should have chosen you. I did choose you. I just got scared at the last minute and made the worst possible choice. You're right, you should have, but you didn't. I know, and I regret it every day. Every single day I wake up and regret it. That's unfortunate for you. Is there any chance? No. You won't even consider it? Consider what? Getting back together? No. Trying again? No. Being friends? No. There's nothing here anymore, Natalie. Natalie, you called off our wedding less than 24 hours before the ceremony because you wanted to spend the weekend with your ex-boyfriend. Even if that weekend turned out differently than you expected, the fact that you chose him over me tells me everything I need to know. You weren't sure about me, and I deserve someone who is sure. I was scared of commitment. Everyone's scared before their wedding. They don't all run to their exes for validation. I wasn't running for validation. Then what were you running for? She didn't have an answer, just stood there. Her mom watching from across the cafe, looking sad, looking like she'd tried to tell Natalie this would happen. I thought we had something special, Natalie finally said. We did, until you threw it away. For a misunderstanding. No, for a choice. You chose to believe your ex wanted you back instead of believing in what we had. That's not a misunderstanding. That's priorities. That's not fair. What's not fair is me spending $7,500 on a wedding you canceled via text message so you could chase a fantasy. What's not fair is you trying to come back 4 months later after you realized that fantasy wasn't real. I made a mistake. Yes, you did. And I'm okay with that, because it showed me who you really are before I legally tied myself to you. Her mom tried to interject. She's been in therapy, working on herself. Good for her. I hope it helps. You're not even willing to try? Natalie asked. Try what? Getting back together? No. Moving forward? No. Forgiving you? Maybe someday. But forgetting? Never. So that's it. That was it 4 months ago when you sent that text. I took my coffee and left, never looked back. Final update, 6 months later. Kara moved in. My apartment officially became our apartment. She brought her stuff. We got rid of the decorative pillows Natalie had left behind that I'd never bothered to throw out. Bought new ones together. Picked out new curtains. Rearranged furniture. Made it ours. Made it feel like a fresh start. No ghosts, no memories of almost weddings. Just us building something new. Rufus, her dog, adapted to the space immediately. Big golden retriever. Friendly, loyal, better roommate than Natalie ever was. I'd joke about that sometimes. Kara would laugh and agree. Got a message from an unknown number one night. I heard you're living with someone. I hope you're happy. I really do. I'm sorry for everything. I wish things had ended differently. I wish I'd made better choices. I wish I'd chosen you. Didn't respond. But I was happy. Genuinely happy. Happier than I'd been with Natalie. Because Kara chose me every day, without hesitation, without needing closure from anyone else, without doubting or looking back at exes. The wedding that never happened cost me $15,000. The honeymoon package I took alone cost $4,000. That was the total we'd paid for both of us, flights and resort included. I canceled her ticket for a $200 fee, which I counted as part of the Maui costs. The changed locks cost $300. But the lesson I learned was priceless. When someone shows you they're not sure about you, believe them the first time. Natalie wanted closure with her ex before committing to me. I gave her a different kind of closure, the permanent kind, and I took my honeymoon solo. My fiancé said, "Let's take a break. You're too emotionally attached." I agreed. Then I found her break pictures on a private travel page. When I booked the same resort under my name and showed up at breakfast, I'm sitting in a beachfront restaurant at 7 in the morning watching my fiancé's face go from relaxed to frozen. She hasn't seen me yet. I'm 3 tables back with sunglasses and a baseball cap, sipping coffee that tastes better than anything I've had in months. Maya's laughing at something the guy next to her just said, touching his arm the way she used to touch mine. Let me back up to 2 weeks ago, when this mess started. Maya came home from work and dropped her purse on the counter with that look. The one where she's already decided something and is just waiting for the right moment to tell me. We'd been engaged for 8 months, together for 3 years total, and I thought things were solid. Not perfect, but solid. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table and said we needed to talk. I put my phone down because when someone says that, you pay attention. She told me she needed space, that I was too emotionally attached, that she felt suffocated. Said she wanted a break to figure things out. 2 weeks, maybe 3. No contact, clean break, time to think. I asked her straight up if there was someone else. She looked me in the eye and said no, that this was about her needing to find herself again. I didn't buy it completely, but I also wasn't going to beg. I told her fine, if that's what she needed, I'd give her space. She seemed almost surprised I agreed so easily. Packed a bag that night and went to stay with her friend Jessica. Here's the thing about Maya. She's terrible at covering her tracks. Always has been. She left her iPad on the coffee table, still logged into everything. The next day, I was looking for our shared calendar to check a dentist appointment, and there it was. A booking confirmation email from some luxury resort in Mexico. Departure date was 3 days away. Return date was 10 days later. The email had a group booking reference number. I clicked through and found a private travel page. 8 people total, all couples. Maya and someone named Derek. Jessica and her boyfriend. 2 other couples I didn't recognize. The page had photos already uploaded from what looked like a planning party a few weeks back. There was Maya, drink in hand, sitting very close to a guy with perfect hair and an expensive watch. Derek, I assumed. I sat there staring at the iPad for probably 20 minutes. The photos kept loading. More drinks, someone's apartment, Maya leaning into this guy while they looked at a phone together, her hand on his chest in one shot. The caption on that one said, "Can't wait for paradise with my favorite people." I wasn't angry yet. That came later. First I was just cold, clear-headed. I screenshotted everything on my phone. The booking confirmations, the group page, every photo, all the comments. Then I did something that probably sounds crazy but made perfect sense to me. I called the resort. The woman who answered was friendly, professional. I explained I was looking to book a stay, same dates as a group already there. She checked availability and said they had rooms available. Would I like an ocean view or garden view? I took ocean view. Paid extra for the upgrade, booked it under my name. Then I bought a plane ticket for the next day. My brother called that night asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I told him what was happening. He asked if I was sure this was the move. I said yeah, I was sure. He offered to come with me. I said no, this was something I needed to do alone. He made me promise to keep my phone on and check in daily. I agreed. The next morning I went to the bank. We had a joint savings account with about $18,000 in it. Money we'd been saving for the wedding. I withdrew $9,000, my half, and deposited it into my personal account. Left the other half there. I wasn't trying to clean her out, just protecting what was mine. Then I stopped by the wedding venue on my way home and asked about their cancellation policy. They said we'd lose the deposit, but everything else could be refunded if we canceled more than 30 days out. I told them I'd call back. Maya texted me on day 3 of the break, asked how I was doing. I kept it short, said I was fine, giving her the space she asked for. She sent back a heart emoji. I didn't respond to that. Day 5, I flew out. The resort was exactly as nice as the photos suggested. White sand, clear water, the whole setup. I checked in under my name, got my room key, asked the front desk what time breakfast service started. 7 in the morning. I set an alarm for 6:30. That first night, I stayed in my room. Ordered room service, watched TV, went through the group travel page again on my phone. They'd been posting photos all day. Beach shots, pool shots, sunset drinks. Maya in a bikini I'd never seen before, sitting on Derek's lap in one photo. The comments were full of heart emojis and couple goals garbage. I slept fine. Better than I had in a week, actually. Morning came and I got dressed in shorts and a plain t-shirt, grabbed my sunglasses and a hat I'd bought in the gift shop. Headed down to the restaurant at 6:50. The place was mostly empty. I took a table in the back corner with a clear view of the entrance and the main seating area. Ordered coffee and waited. They came in at 7:15. All 8 of them, loud and laughing, clearly already tight from a week of vacation drinking. Maya was wearing a sundress I'd never seen, Derek's arm around her waist. They got seated at a big table near the windows. I watched them order, watched them joke around, watched Maya kiss Derek on the cheek when he said something that made the table laugh. I gave it 15 minutes, let them get comfortable. Then I stood up, took off the sunglasses and hat, and walked straight to their table. Maya saw me first. The color drained from her face so fast I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Derek noticed her reaction and turned to look at me. The whole table went quiet. I kept my voice calm and friendly. Said good morning, beautiful day, sorry to interrupt their breakfast. Maya couldn't form words, just stared at me like I was a ghost. I told her I'd gotten her message about needing space and thought a vacation would help me process things too. What a coincidence we picked the same resort. Derek found his voice first. Asked who I was. I introduced myself as Maya's fiancé, put emphasis on that word, and stuck out my hand for a shake. He didn't take it. Jessica, Maya's supposed best friend, looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Maya finally managed to say my name, asked what I was doing here. I told her I was on vacation, same as her, enjoying my break time, really embracing the space she asked for. Then I pulled out my phone and pulled up the screenshots, the group travel page, the photos, the comments, asked if she'd found herself yet or if she needed more time. The table was dead silent. One of the other women, someone I didn't know, muttered something about this being awkward. I agreed, said it was very awkward, and told Maya we should probably talk in private. She nodded, stood up without looking at Derek, and followed me away from the table. We walked down to the beach. She started crying before we even got to the sand. Started with apologies, said she didn't mean for it to happen this way, that she'd been confused. That Derek was just someone from her gym who'd invited her on this trip, and she'd thought it would help her clear her head. I let her talk herself in circles for a few minutes. Then I cut her off. Told her I'd withdrawn my half of the savings, that I was canceling the wedding venue tomorrow, and that when we got back home she had 1 week to get her stuff out of my apartment. She tried to argue that the apartment was both of ours. I reminded her the lease was only in my name, had been since before she moved in. She switched tactics, said I was being cruel, that I was overreacting, that nothing physical had happened with Derek. I showed her the photo of her sitting on his lap. She said it was just for the picture, didn't mean anything. I asked if she thought I was stupid. She didn't answer that. Then she got angry, said I'd violated her privacy by looking at her iPad. I told her she'd violated our relationship by planning a couple's vacation while engaged to me. She said I was controlling, and that this was exactly why she needed space. I told her she had all the space she wanted now, permanently. I walked away, left her standing on the beach, went back to my room, changed into swim trunks, and spent the day at the pool. Saw their group at lunch, looking miserable and tense. Maya wasn't with them. Derek kept glaring at me from across the pool area. I ignored him. The next 2 days were interesting. I stayed at the resort, enjoyed my vacation, went snorkeling, got a massage, ate good food. Maya's group kept to themselves mostly. I'd see them around, but they'd avoid eye contact, except Derek, who seemed to think we were going to have some confrontation. I had zero interest in that. On my last full day, I was at the pool bar when Jessica approached me. She sat down 2 stools away and ordered a drink. Didn't look at me at first. Then she said she was sorry. I asked what she was sorry for. She said for going along with it, for not telling me, for being a bad friend. I told her she was never my friend, so she didn't owe me anything. But she owed Maya better than helping her cheat. She said Maya had told her we were basically over, that I knew about Derek, that this trip was Maya's way of moving on. I laughed at that, asked if she really believed it. She admitted she hadn't wanted to look too close at it. She told me Maya had been seeing Derek for about 2 months. Started as workout sessions at the gym, turned into coffee after, then dinners. Maya had convinced herself it wasn't really cheating because things between us had gotten stale. I asked what things had gotten stale. Jessica couldn't name any specific examples. Just said Maya felt like the spark was gone. I thanked her for the information and left. Didn't finish my drink. That night, someone knocked on my door around 10:30. I opened it to find Derek standing there. He was drunk, swaying slightly, trying to look tough. He said we needed to talk man to man. I said we didn't need to talk at all. He insisted. I told him he had 10 seconds to leave before I called security. He said Maya told him I was controlling and emotionally manipulative, that she'd felt trapped in our relationship, that this whole thing was me stalking her on vacation. I asked him if that story made sense, given that she'd agreed to marry me and had been planning a wedding. He said women in bad relationships do that all the time. I told him if he really believed I was dangerous, he was an idiot for showing up at my door drunk and alone. That seemed to penetrate the alcohol fog. He left without another word. I called my brother that night, told him everything that had happened. He asked when I was coming home. I said 1 more day. He said he'd help me pack up Maya's stuff when I got back. I told him that wouldn't be necessary. I'd handle it myself. The next morning I had breakfast at the same restaurant. Maya's group wasn't there. I checked out at 11, took a cab to the airport, flew home. The whole flight I felt lighter than I had in weeks. When I got home there was a note on my apartment door. Building management letting me know Maya had been by asking for a spare tea. They'd refused since her name wasn't on the lease. Good. I changed the locks the next morning. Cost me $200 and took about an hour with the locksmith. Worth every penny. Then I called the wedding venue and officially canceled. They were understanding, said they'd process the refund for everything except the deposit within 2 weeks. I called the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Everyone was professional about it. Some had cancellation fees. I paid them and moved on. Maya started texting me during her flight home. I'd kept my phone off at the resort after the Derek incident and only turned it back on once I was in my apartment. 18 messages. The first few were angry, calling me controlling and manipulative. Then they shifted to apologetic, begging me to talk to her, then back to angry, saying I'd embarrassed her in front of her friends. Then apologetic again. I responded to exactly one. Told her she had until Saturday to arrange pickup of her things. After that, I was donating everything. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She called 12 more times that evening. I blocked her number. She showed up Thursday morning with her mom and Jessica. I watched them from the window. Her mom was clearly angry, gesturing at the building, at Maya, looking ready for a fight. They tried the buzzer. I didn't answer. They left after 15 minutes. Friday afternoon, Maya came back with a small, moving truck. Her mom, Jessica, and someone else I didn't recognize. I'd spent the previous 2 evenings packing all of Maya's stuff into boxes and garbage bags. Left everything in the hallway outside my apartment door. I watched from the window as they loaded it all up. Maya kept looking up at the building like she expected me to come down. I didn't. Saturday morning I got an email from her. Long, rambling, full of excuses and justifications and half apologies. She said Derek had been a mistake, that she'd gotten caught up in attention from someone new, that she realized now I was the person she wanted. She said we could start over, maybe do counseling, work on communication. I didn't respond. Sunday, her dad called. I answered because I'd always gotten along with him and figured he deserved an explanation. He said Maya had told him her side, and he wanted to hear mine. I told him everything, the break request, the iPad, the group travel page, the resort. He was quiet for a long time. Then he apologized, said he'd raised her better than that, and he was disappointed in her choices. I told him I appreciated that. He said he understood if I never wanted to speak to any of them again, but he wanted me to know he was sorry. 2 weeks later, I got a message from Derek on social media. He said Maya had moved in with him and wanted to know if I had any of her stuff I'd missed. I told him I didn't. He said Maya was telling people I'd kept her grandmother's ring out of spite. I sent him a photo of the ring box with a note that said I'd returned it to Maya's mom the day after I got back. He didn't respond after that. I heard through mutual friends that Maya and Derek's relationship fell apart within a month. Apparently, she'd been comparing him to me constantly, complaining that he wasn't as stable or reliable. He'd kicked her out after a fight about her still having photos of me on her phone. She'd moved back in with her parents. 3 months after the resort incident, I ran into Jessica at a coffee shop. She asked if we could talk. I said we could, but I didn't have anything to say to her. She told me Maya had been texting her constantly asking about me, if I was seeing anyone, if I ever mentioned her. I told Jessica to tell Maya I never thought about her at all anymore. That was mostly true. Some days I'd remember something stupid and it would sting for a minute. But mostly I was good. Better than good, actually. I'd started going to the gym, picked up a hobby I'd let die when Maya and I got together, reconnected with friends I'd drifted away from. My brother set me up on a date with someone from his wife's book club. It went okay. Nothing serious, but it reminded me I could do this again when I was ready. That there wasn't anything wrong with me. That Maya's choices were about her, not about what I lacked. 6 months out, I got one final message from Maya. She'd gotten engaged to someone new. Wanted me to know she was happy. I congratulated her and meant it. Whatever happiness she found wasn't my problem anymore. I'm doing fine now. The apartment feels like mine again. I sleep well. Work is good. My brother and I get dinner once a week. Life moves forward whether you want it to or not. Might as well move with it. Still haven't been back to Mexico though. Maybe someday.